all back together again. I must say it's extremely nice to see everybody. I hope you've all more or less survived lockdown this far unscathed. And we're so far away, we can barely see each other. But it is excellent that we're all here, and thank you very much for being here. And I might just look sideways. I think we've got some members of the public here, and it's always appreciated when the public engage in this process. So thank you very much for coming. In that vein, how long is it now? Is it a year since we've all been in this chamber? It's unreal, isn't it? So in the intervening period, as we all know, we've been conducting these meetings on Zoom, and they've all been fed live into YouTube. So just so everybody knows, that's still happening. So YouTube is out there looking in on us, so just behave. Right, so here we are. This is a meeting of the East Arts District Council Development Managed Committee. It's taking place on 19th of May. Just got one or two preliminaries before we get to the agenda. So the first preliminary is just to identify one or two changes in the makeup of the committee tonight. Councillors David Andrews, Ian Kemp and Carolyn Redfern are unable to be here. Ian Kemp is substituted by Councillor Ian Devonshire, and the other two absences were notified a little bit late, so it's not been possible to line up a substitute for those other two councillors. But again, just for the benefit of anybody viewing out there, we are substantially quorate. The quorate level for this committee is really quite low, so we are absolutely, totally, substantially quorate. Thank you very much, Ian, for subbing in. Then just got one or two coronavirus type announcements. For the last year, I've been at the beginning of every meeting reading out an announcement that explains to people why we're allowed to conduct the meeting on Zoom. I haven't got to do that anymore, but got different things to say to us all now. So in no order of priority. Remember to leave the building via the caretaker's exit to the car park. It's also essential that you touch your card on the reader on your way out. If you use pen and paper at the meeting, please do not share either with other members, and remember to take all items home after the meeting. If you are using the toilets, please sanitise your hands with gel outside the toilets before touching the door to enter or moving the cone at the door entrance. Remember that if the cone is in front of the door, the toilets will be in use and it will be necessary to wait or come back later. At the end of the meeting this evening, could all members please take the wipes that should all be within reach and just wipe down your work surfaces and your seat, although it's not very wipeable, is it? But anyway, these are the instructions. You have to wipe your... Yes, indeed, we'll stop there. You have to wipe your seat. Anyway, you do your best. If we find ourselves moving around, just keep in mind social distancing. And lastly, but absolutely by no means least, you're all very welcome to wear a mask if you wish, but you don't have to. So there we are on that. All those things said, we can now move to the agenda. Item 1 on the agenda is the appointment of a vice-chairman. Do I have a proposer? Yeah, Councillor Page.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'd like to propose Councillor Tony Stowe. Performed well pre-pandemic, even better during the pandemic, and I'm sure he'll perform well again post-pandemic. So,
thank you.
That's my proposal.
Well, that's a high bar to live up to, isn't it? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Buckmaster. Yeah, thank you very much indeed. I think I'm obliged to ask if there are any other nominations. No, we don't really need a vote in that case, but I think we'll take one. So all those in favour, please show hands. Very pleased to say, Tony, that you are unanimously elected to the position of deputy. And I think you are allowed to move through the chamber to come up and sit somewhere up here. Yeah. item 2 is apologies. I have, in fact, already done the apologies. So then that moves us on to item 3, which is Chairman's announcements. Now, I have an announcement. I think Sarah Saunders, the Head of Planning here, has an announcement. I'll let you go first, Sarah, I think.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I just want to update the committee on the position with planning applications. I think you probably already are aware of the position, but I wanted to take the opportunity just to cover the current position off. So we've seen a steady increase in planning applications over the last 6 months. This isn't unique to East Herts. It is kind of a nationwide trend. We're not the only planning authority experiencing an increase in planning applications, and it is a result of COVID, so more people are putting in applications to make improvements to their own living environment. And for us, this increase has also coincided with some recent staff changes, some staff turnover relating to retirements and other change in circumstances, those standards. We do have an action plan in place to address the issues and make sure there is support for the team and to deliver the service to customers. We appreciate that it is frustrating for customers, but we are making them aware of the situation and making sure that we are keeping them up to date with the current position. So we've committed to making sure there's ongoing communication with our customers about the situation. We'll keep this matter under review and we'll also keep you informed on a monthly basis as well. So I'm not proposing to go into the detail on the action plan, but I did want to just make sure you were aware of the current situation, and we're doing everything we can to kind of minimise delays and work through the issues as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's there are your announcements. That's okay. The announcement that I'm called upon to make is this, which is that during the recent county council election, and indeed some town council by-elections, I think, the East Herts District Council has become aware that, and the council wants to make very clear that that is not the case. This committee is a non-political committee. It is not whipped. I am entering my 7th year in this committee. I have never once been whipped. I have never once been encouraged to vote along any form of party lines. And the ethos of this committee is that it's non-political. Each member takes its own view. And the only constraint that we're subject to is that we need to decide things in accordance with planning policy and planning law. And they're the only things that govern the way we approach issues. And I might just say by extension that one of the things that it's important for this committee to do is reach decisions. A failure to reach a decision is not a helpful thing to do. And a decision that might be made on personal preferences rather than policy guidelines or national planning legislation is not helpful if that leads to an appeal by an applicant, which this council then loses and for which this council then has to pay substantial legal costs. So I'm just required to make that very clear on behalf of East Herts District Council. Thank you very much indeed. So you'll be pleased to know there are no more chairman's announcements. Item 4 is declarations of interest. Does anybody have a declaration they want to declare? Lots of total inactivity in response to that point, so thank you very much. Item 5 is minutes. This is the minutes of the meeting of the 21st of April 2021. Everybody should have seen those minutes. Do I have a proposer? Terence Beckett is proposing. Do I have a seconder? Ruth Buckmaster is seconding. All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Very good. So we now move on to the planning applications that we're looking at this evening, and this is item 6 on the agenda. If you're working from the pack, the first item proper begins at page 11. So we are now going to consider application 3/20/2481/FUL, which is in relation to the proposed demolition, removal of existing structures and the erection of a manufacturing building and associated works at GlaxoSmithKline Services Limited. And I think we're going to start with a presentation from the officer, if we may. Thank you very much indeed.
Good evening, Chairman and members. I'm Louise Newcombe. I'm the Interim Development Management Team Leader here at East Herts, those residential properties on the opposite side. The site was formerly occupied by 2 buildings, which have now been demolished. And to the south of the site are existing manufacturing buildings as part of the GSK compound and complex. On the third slide here, up again, one before. That's the one. This shows that planning permission was previously granted for a new manufacturing building in September of 2019. This is shown by the blue line on the left-hand slide there. The proposal, that 2019 application, remains extant until September 2022. The site is a designated employment area under District Plan Policy WARE 3, and the proposed building is for the relocation of production facilities of medical drugs for GlaxoSmithKline. As the officer report outlines, the key issues in assessing this application are those of employment, water efficiency and environmental quality, biodiversity, natural environment and heritage assets. The principle of this development within the employment area is acceptable and in line with the development plan. Considering the previously approved building as a fallback position, the proposed M2 building, in terms of its layout, design and massing, is considered to be appropriate to its location, with landscaping proposed, and to its retention of that landscaping and new planting proposed to be secured by condition. In terms of position, size and noise, the proposed building accords with the district plan and the National Planning Policy Framework. There is a neutral impact on trip generation, as this building proposes a relocation of existing staff from within the company to this building. Cleanage can be achieved on site in